And we had to start off with a big one. We have another wrestling death, unfortunately. And we've had wrestling took a just like the rest of 2020 took a hard hit this year. They kind of like started.
Not just wrestling, but sports, comedians, actors.
Yes, 2020 took a hit like 2016 did, and
nah, bro. Then this is way. This is way definitely way
worse. Well, I mean, don't give no. Hold on. Now 2016 was the start of taking some heavy hits because we lost Prince, China, Bowie. Like we lost a lot of hits, heavy hitters on that one.
Heavy hitters in that one, but. All right, your first three is already the heaviest, almost the heaviest of heavy hitters. So I mean,
yeah, but this year,
three. You name the top three of 2020. They literally can compete against everybody.
Yes,
that was wrong. Was seriously.
Yeah. So, but we lost WWE Hall of Famer Pat Patterson. Now, me and Prime come from two different wrestling eras, so. We probably both remember Pat Patterson a little bit differently, but a lot of people remember Pat Patterson for being one of Vince McMahon's stooges. If anybody watched the Attitude Era, remember the stooges of Vince McMahon had Gerald Briscoe and Pat Patterson, right? And honestly, even though I started watching wrestling in 1992, I wasn't familiar with that version of Pat Patterson. When I started watching the Attitude Era, he has always been one known as Vince's Stooges. Just like, remember with that whole little thing they had with Vince's Devils, with Candice Michelle and Victoria and Tori Wilson? Yeah, well, they got the Stooges, and they would go against the Mean Street Posse. They would be the ones that would take the bumps, for Vince McMahon and stuff like that.
Pretty much like J&J Security almost.
Exactly, for Vince McMahon. Vince would take his own bumps and everything. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, it didn't hit me until I watched, I want to say, was it Breakdown 1998 or Over the Edge? I think it was Over the Edge 1998 when Undertaker, it was Dude Love and Stone Cold, right? And Undertaker came out. I remember he attacked Patterson and Briscoe. I remember when he choke slammed Briscoe through the announce table and Briscoe got like some mad air.
For the first time ever.
And I was like, wait a minute. How does old guy know how to bump like that? That's what I was saying in 98. But it never went past me that Gerald Briscoe is part of the Briscoe Brothers, like a famous tag team that's been around and won championships all through the 70s and 80s. And it didn't occur to me that Pat Patterson was a Hall of Fame wrestler who was the first ever Intercontinental Champion that they won in a tournament. At that time, that's what Patterson and Briscoe was known for as the Stooges, but then as I got older and did my research and gone back into it, I was like, yo, Pat Patterson is somebody. And looking at it, he was the first Intercontinental Champion.
I just went back and watched the choke slam. My bad.
Okay. No, so you see how he got the air on that choke slam?
Yeah, he got up there.
And that right there is where I was just like, wait a minute. These guys, like, when old folks get okay, like this, because I don't like mentioning his name too much, but remember when Battle of the Billionaires when Trump got stunned?
Yeah, and that's the one you decided to come on with.
I'm sorry, but it was so bad because you was like, you can tell he's not a wrestler, right? And he knows so the shit anyway. But when somebody get air like Briscoe did, I'm like, yo, you know something. Yeah, when he got Briscoe Patterson did, I was like, yeah, because Patterson got chokeslammed too, didn't he?
Who?
Pat Patterson got chokeslammed too.
Oh yeah, but it wasn't like that.
It was like
through the table.
Yeah, it was
like that.
Yeah, because Briscoe got some mad air that chokeslam. So yeah, and that's what made me start questioning who these guys truly were. And Pat Patterson is credited for a lot of these. Pat Patterson, because remember the creative team back in the day during the whole Attitude Era, some of that was only Patterson and Briscoe. No, excuse me. It was only Pat Patterson and Vince McMahon. They would sit out by his pool.
No, it was the other dude too, Bruce Pritchard too.
And okay, in the Attitude Era, because wasn't Vince Russo part of that also?
Well, that was a little later. Vince Russo came in '97 because it was like him. It was like them three and then Cornette, and they were all together. And then Russo came in like '97 or '96, maybe '97.
Yeah.
And then that's when they kind of got out of control a little bit. But
yeah,
the original team was those four: Gerald Briscoe, Pat Patterson, McMahon, and Bruce Pritchard.
Yeah, so before they had a writing room of 30 writers, which they don't need, it would just be them sitting in the pool and writing, the stuff for wrestling matches, stuff like that. Now, what some people may not know, depending on how much of a wrestling fan you are, is that the whole idea for the Royal Rumble came from Pat Patterson.
Mm-hmm. And
the Royal Rumble has to be one of my favorite pay-per-views ever, because out of the classic five, back when King of Ring was taken seriously, and I think Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, correct me if I'm wrong, I can say that Royal Rumble and WrestleMania are the only events that WWE actually takes time to book. Like the shows, even though
like still to this day.
I mean, like even since this day, like those things, like no matter how bad wrestling gets in that year, it's something about that luster that it still has. That SummerSlam, Survivor Series, King of the Ring don't even have no more.
I would say it varies for the Rumble, because they doing it good now, but like in them 2012, 13, 14 years was
rough.
Yeah, you got Jey Uso coming in at number 29. Come on,
yeah,
man.
Like that. It was rough. I will say it was very rough. And the thing was though, but it's like even to this day, everybody when it comes to Royal Rumble, like even when I got tickets to go to Royal Rumble when it came to Philly, I was like, it's the Royal Rumble. I gotta go. I gotta go there for the countdown.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? No matter how they book it, I gotta go there because I went to the first ever women's Royal Rumble.
I don't know. I knew you wasn't gonna say the first ever Royal Rumble, but I don't know why I thought that was about to come out your mouth.
No, bro, please. I wouldn't even. I think I was like a couple months old when the first Royal Rumble came out. No, I was I'm talking about the first ever women's Royal Rumble, which happened in Philly in 2018.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying I know that's what you was gonna say, but I don't know why that came to my mind that you was about to say the first ever. I don't know why.
You about to say he drawn on that age? No, I didn't go to that one. I'm sorry, but yeah, I went there and it still had that Rumble magic, despite the other part of the card kind of being kind of lackluster. I still think I was like I still enjoy the Rumble. WrestleMania, I still host WrestleMania parties every year. I've been hosting a WrestleMania party ever since. First of all, I remember I was upset because I wasn't able to get to Tyson WrestleMania 14.
Okay.
So from WrestleMania 15 all the way down to WrestleMania 36, I've ordered every single WrestleMania on pay-per-view.
Okay.
Even when the years I stopped watching wrestling, because there was a time I think I stopped like watching wrestling from 2009 to 2012. I think I got back into it around 2012 because I hated 2011. And I wasn't watching it. I wasn't watching any Raws. I wasn't watching any. SmackDown was a recap show anyway, so I wasn't watching any Raws. But then I always made sure I saw who won the Rumble, and I always saw. I think 2010 pissed me off because I was just like, I don't care. I was like, oh, Edge came back. I was like, all right. That's kind of how it was. But he had that idea, and his the idea from that was he said he wanted to do a battle royal in reverse because before
because nobody thought of that.
Well, I mean, at that time, who did though?
No, I'm saying it's good reason why they didn't do it.
Oh yeah. Well, so they was like, well, we always have 20 guys in the ring at the same time fighting, and whoever's the last person that wins. What if we have a different guy come out at a certain amount of time, and then we do it that way? So the first Royal Rumble was not a huge success at all, and it took place on a house show. One man gang won the first Royal Rumble, and it wasn't 30 guys; it was 20 guys.
Was it One Man Gang? I thought it was Big John Studd.
Oh, no, you know what? It wasn't Big John Studd. It was Hacksaw Jim Duggan. My bad. He eliminated One Man Gang.
He must have won the second one then. That's probably what I'm thinking.
Big John Studd won the one in '89.
Okay, see, okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah, Big John Studd, he won the one in '89, and then Hogan had 91, 90, and 91.
Seemed like he had 91, 92, and 93
we know Flair got one of the greatest ones in '92. Yoko in '93. Like, I know all the Royal Rumble winners up until now. Would you want to test me? But I was
99. Let me stop.
Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
So, and he was it wasn't a big success. So Vince actually gave him a second chance, and then they came back and made it into a pay-per-view, the Royal Rumble, which I think when the Royal Rumble happened, I think I forgot what show on WCW they was trying to go up against. I don't know if it was the answer for Starrcade, because Starrcade is always in December for WCW. And the big stuff for WCW was that, War Games. They used to have, remember Spring Stampede, I think they had at one point?
Yeah. Was it Spring? Yeah, Spring Stampede, yeah.
Yeah, so, they, had a lot of things that they were trying to go up to, and then even WCW tried to mimic the Royal Rumble with the, was it the Battle Bowl? Which lasted for like a year. It didn't really work out too well. But, yes, he has to have credit for the Royal Rumble match, and the match up until now has been a success. Like I said, there are more boring Rumbles than others. There are worse Rumbles than others. There are some Rumbles that you can forget about, but always having the concept of the Royal Rumble is something that I am always happy to to be a part of. He's also the very first Intercontinental Champion. Intercontinental Champion, growing up, was one of my favorite championships because it was the workhorse title. Now, Intercontinental Championship today means jack shit, okay? But back in the day when the Intercontinental Championship meant something, those were your high-profile matches. And I remember, it's like, do you want to see... Because look, let's just be real. The Heavyweight Championship, those were the Hogan pose-down matches. It was Hogan going to face the New Giant. And it was just like, Hogan, I mean, I don't think Hogan was a bad wrestler, but Hogan was all show. But Intercontinental Championship, like when I see Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect and Razor Ramon and and Shawn Michaels and Tito Santana and all of them going at it for the Intercontinental Championship, those were the matches I wanted to see.
Yep.
Those are the matches I wanted to see, and he.
Steamboat and Macho Man WrestleMania 3.
Steamboat, Macho Man, Savio Vega, Stone Cold at the time, The Rock. Like, the Intercontinental Championship had the biggest storylines at one point. Opposed to remember in if you go back to In Your House, the Generation X 1997, right? What was the biggest story going into that pay-per-view?
Of which one? My bad.
The Generation X In Your House 1997.
Dang, what was that one?
Okay, because I
can't remember out of the top of my head, right at the moment.
Dude, you're embarrassing me in front of the Wizards.
No, I'm pretty sure when you say it, I'll be like, oh yeah. I just can't think.
It was
so
Stone Cold versus The Nation.
Oh yeah, okay, yes.
That's when D'Lo Brown got stunned on top of the car on the truck, and Stone Cold took out the whole nation. It was The Rock versus Austin for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, do you remember the World Heavyweight Championship at that time? That main event, what it was?
Nah, but I'm assuming it was like, I don't know, Taker or something.
No, it was Shawn versus Ken Shamrock.
Oh, who's gonna remember that?
See what I'm saying? At that time, the World Heavyweight Championship, they didn't have the best story. The Intercontinental Championship had the profound storylines. So, Pat Patterson was the first ever Intercontinental Champion, and he won it in a tournament. And I forgot. I'm trying to think who it was. with he won the kind of championship from in the tournament because they had the old championship on SmackDown. I was like, my God, you can kill somebody with that championship.
I don't like the because they got different ones. They got like the green strap, and the one that he had, that Pat Patterson won.
Yeah.
What is your? I don't have a favorite, but like I like the one that they have now, but the oval one I like too. The
Attitude Era,
as I call it, the RVD title. What do you call it?
The Attitude Era Championship.
I don't know. I call it the RVD belt. I feel like he had it. I feel like he had it forever almost.
Not over Jericho.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I'm saying not over Jericho owned that title. So if anything, the Y2J title. But I'm a fan of the Attitude Era title. I'm a fan of the white Cody title for 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And then they changed it. I'm not a fan of the Ultimate Warrior yellow.
Or the blue.
Yeah, or that teal. I wasn't a fan of that. And I am a fan of the mid '90s version was all right. The one that they had behind the Wind Eagle one. So I thought that was pretty dope. So yeah, so Patterson, he did that and he retired in I want to say '84, like retired from actual in-ring competition because he was known for his stuff in the 60s and the 70s when he did Pacific Northwest Wrestling, big time the championship wrestling for Florida, back all in the territories. Before there was the Indies, there was territories. So he was doing all of those kind of things in the territories, and then he like I said, he had the on-screen role when it came to being the Stooges, when it came to Patterson and Briscoe, and then learning more about Patterson. And then remember when him and Gerald Briscoe had the storyline in 2000 over the hardcore evening match at King of the Ring 2000?
Yeah, that one was crazy when they used to. They had he did the I don't even know what you call it, Bronco Buster. Yeah,
that was his. I just like when he would celebrate and he would pour the champagne. He was like, "Oh, Patterson, my." And he go and then he win a hardcore back when the hardcore 24/7 championship was way better than the 24/7 shit they doing now.
Of course it was.
Because it was actually a story, and I liked how they did the on location stuff. Now don't get me wrong, the R-Truth Drake Maverick thing was the thing that saved that 24/7 championship last year. But right now, everything sucks.
Yeah, pretty much.
The R-Truth is trying his damnedest to try to keep that thing alive, but I think his thing in 2019 was the best it's been since Crash Holly. Only the R-Truth stuff. I ain't talking about anybody else they wanted. I'm talking about just the R-Truth stuff.
Yeah, unless they go back and not go back, but like do different things, not just the same thing every single week. Have him win it every single week or every other week. Actually make a change.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we're probably gonna have to. So, then he took more of a backstage role in like the 2000s to 2020s. Obviously, having some backstage segments and doing stuff in the ring, off camera, producing and stuff like that. So, the last time that we heard anything, Pat Patterson, he did try to win a 24/7 championship.
He did.
Oh, he did win. He did, right? He was the 24/7 championship, and then
he got beat by Briscoe.
Yeah, so they tried to reunite that. But the other thing that we heard, I'm not trying to laugh, but remember we just heard about it that he was Rocky Johnson's funeral.
Oh, I see. That's what I was gonna bring up earlier. But what you gonna say?
So there was reports of how Pat Patterson was acting really out of pocket at Rocky Johnson's funeral because it came to find out that he was suffering from a lot of health issues and dementia. And remember, I think he told the story about him waking up and he was drinking out of a toilet. Something like, so I have to go back and look at the transcripts for Rocky Johnson's funeral, but I'm just like, yo, the stories I heard from that funeral, I'm like, I had to be a fly on the wall and hear that and see that funeral, because I know you still, you can keep talking about the Mr. Man thing all this time.
That's what I was gonna bring up. I was like, so do you think this time at this funeral are we gonna get a "that was a good man" but hit my music? No chance. It's going. Oh my gosh, that would be just. Oh man, I still think it happened. I don't know why. I just feel like that's something that would happen. If Vince would pay the sound man to play his music as he's walking off the stage. Oh man. You know what, Rock? You know what, Rock? I'm leaving. Hit my music.
No chance.
All right. Sorry.
But yeah, like that's what it was like. His downfall, because Pat Patterson, and that was this year. That was January of this year. Mm-hmm. And actually, I'm going to see if I can find the transcript real quick as I'm looking at it. Robert for Rocky.
I've been saying this joke for almost a year.
Yeah, bro. He missed Rocky Johnson's funeral. Pat Patterson, because you already know you bring this thing up. Mr. Man Pat Patterson acting Pat Patterson accused of acting senile at Rocky Johnson's funeral. This one once again. Oh, okay. Well, that was okay. So then Pat Patterson was at action speakers. They just did the Mr. Man thing, and then he's like. The transcript says then Pat Patterson was asked to speak and said some very nice things about working with Rocky in San Francisco. Some of those matches were with me as Patterson's tag partner against High Chief PMIV and Rocky. Then out of nowhere, Patterson goes into this rant and called Rocky Johnson lying dead in his castle right below him a motherfucker. It started this vulgar rant about how worthless Rocky was, and a bunch of guys had to drag Patterson off the church platform and sit him down. So disgustingly disrespectful is beyond words. Patterson, who just turned 81, which is obviously wrong because he definitely had him die at 79, right? So must be losing his mind, literally. Only in pro wrestling, folks. Very sad to hear about this, and I actually feel a bit ill over this bizarre behavior. So, a lot of people don't.
But I just, oh my god, I just can't imagine.
Yeah, at first they thought he was drunk, but then he said Pat may be just going senile. So there is things saying that he was suffering from dementia. And when you get to somebody like my wife's grandfather has dementia, he don't even know who he is anymore. And angry outbursts just come. They just come out and they just start.
He's 71. You better hope little outbursts coming from the wrong people.
Exactly. So so that's kind of fucked up. I had to bring that transcript up. So also, Pat Patterson was did you ever when WWE Network first came out in 2014, they had to make some original content. One of the shows they had on there that I wish they could bring back is Legends House.
I didn't watch. I seen clips from it, but I never watched it.
I watched Legends House because first of all, that's when I realized Mean Gene had lymphedema in his arm. I was like, why is his arm so big? Do you know we lost about half that cast?
Yeah.
Since Legends House came on, we lost Piper, Patterson, Mean Gene, Howard Finkel, and the only one I think that's is still with us is Hillbilly Jim, Tony Atlas, and honestly, I'm actually gonna pull up the names right now of who was on. They just got the network, but Legends House was one of the first shows that they had on WWE Network, and I watched it, and I was just like, it's just like just old guys ranting about the glory days, you know what I'm saying? And he came on that show. He expressed a couple of things because one day people didn't know about Pat Patterson, or if you're not interested, don't know that he was openly gay.
Uh-huh.
Pat Patterson was he came out in the early 70s. There now once again, I don't know. I haven't read any shoot interviews. I haven't read any books or anything. I don't know how he, the kind of the discrimination he had to go through being homosexual. Because I'm pretty sure in the wrestling business, bro, it can't be easy.
That's probably why he retired earlier.
Say what?
That's probably why he retired early, because Goldust was faking, and nobody wanted to work with him. He was just faking.
Exactly. And he was fake, especially when the height of AIDS and stuff like that came up and everything like that. And I was just like, so I never truly got into, like, I know people going to do more research on different podcasts about it, but like, I never truly got, I haven't read any of his books or anything about what he had to deal with. They said that Jim Ross made several jokes about it on commentary, but his sexuality was never acknowledged.
He does. Did you not? Oh my! What was the one? I forgot what happened when he was like, "Hey, there's Pat Patterson. He's single, fellas." What?
Don't make me laugh, but that's fucked.
That's what he's.
Yeah.
All right, let me see if I can find it. Jim Ross, he's single, fellas.
Yeah, he probably did, because Jim Ross, he probably did something like that. But it says that he makes some jokes about it on commentary, but his sexuality was never was not acknowledged publicly or in WWE storylines until the season finale of Legends House. And then when it was Legends House, he came out for the storyline. It was like, I'm the first openly gay pro wrestler. And he was described to People's Magazine as the first.
Video, but
he's the first openly gay star as well. He had a partner named Louis Danero, and he said that he had been together with this guy for 40 years until Danero died of a heart attack on June 28th, 1998. That's the same night as King of the Ring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he lost his partner. I don't know if he ever found another partner or whatever the case may be, but that's who he's been with for a long time. So I don't know. Like I said, homosexuals and people from the LGBTQ community do get it hard, especially in professional wrestling. Professional wrestling is very not kind to that. So I don't know necessarily what happened with that again in detail. Just like I don't know necessarily what happened in this necessary case, but there was I just had it pulled up. In 1992, there was a accusation that came out. There was Pat Patterson was accused of sexual harassment by a former announcer, Murray Hodgkinson. He was briefly released from the company until the charges were dropped, and he was promptly rehired. This came after he had previously reported prostituted other wrestlers for sexual favors in exchange for a push in WWF. So this is known as the Ring Boy scandal. I was reading, because like I said, I just like you, I don't know too much about this case. Honestly, this is the first time I'm hearing about it.
I mean, I've heard about it, but I ain't paid no attention because it was so long ago.
It was so long ago. So, but once again,
kind of sound like, I ain't gonna lie, it kind of sound like the accusation that came out about Velveteen Dream.
About Velveteen, exactly, about Velveteen Dream. And so don't get me wrong, I'm not going to be on this podcast. Right now, me and Primetime's job is to talk about how we remember Pat Patterson and the contribution he had to professional wrestling, but it's also our job to cover him on the dark side, because everybody's not perfect, and to make a judgment, like, because I don't know any accusations. Just like I said, he's from Canada, and he was raised Roman Catholic, and he was an altar boy. He expressed an interest to be a priest and becoming one himself, but was advised it would not have worked because he was too adventurous. Don't know what that means, but they haven't looked, like I said, I haven't really, I was trying to find something like deep down inside about this. Like, me and my wife was literally searching all day, because I'm like, I am not going to come up here and sound stupid and make a fool of myself. I want to make sure that I have, all the facts that I can down about this accusation, because once again, you don't want to falsely prove somebody, because I seen a lot of people on Twitter when WWE put out something about Pat Patterson dying, there was a group of them on Twitter that was getting them out of here, like, yo, keep that same energy you did with Mae Young. Keep that same not Mae Young, Fabulous Moolah. Or, he was touching boys, stuff like that, so he's trash, stuff like that. I was like, whoa, what the fuck happened? Like, I really didn't know. Like, I honestly,
I didn't know, but like, let's be honest, it's a lot of stuff that didn't come to light back in them days. Especially they had no phones.
If there was social media, there would not be a wrestling organization.
Yeah, so you can't even. You gotta do everybody after that.
Because there is probably so much trash, or especially all the rest, especially from the 80s, 90s, and stuff like the early 80s and 90s, that there was no social media back then, so they just did all kinds of shit.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm going to sit here real quick. There's an article that my wife sent to me, and I want to read it to see what it said. This is coming from actually Bleacher Report, which was written by a man named Matthew Hester, and he was talking about the different things in the pro wrestling's dark side, and he talks about different things. He says behind the closed curtains there are many things that wrestling historians prefer you didn't remember. He was like, they talk about the brutal killing of Bruiser Brody, talk about the steroid scandal, the savage attack by Sid Vicious with the scissors and Arn Anderson. He said, but there have been covered of scandals, lies, inception. And he said this article was not meant to slander pro wrestling. In fact, it is pro wrestling that is probably my favorite pastime. But we just can't look at the good and forget the bad, which isn't necessarily true. Bad things happen for many years, and for all of those that we can do, people is hope that to learn from our mistakes. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy the read. So they got the Terry Garvin and Pat Patterson sex scandal. In 1992, WWE had more problems to deal with besides steroids. Like most aspects in the entertainment industry, sex sells, which it does. The media, already in a frenzy with the steroid scandal, would be given another tasty morsel to chew on. Only this time it would be to the expense of Hall of Fame Pat Patterson and Terry Garvin. The allegations would start with Barry Orton, who claimed that Garvin was harassing him during a long trip on the road. According to Orton, Garvin would ask for oral sex on many occasions during the car ride. Needless to say, this made Orton very uncomfortable that they would not return in the same car on the way home. The problems would not end there, though. A short time later, Garvin would be given a job with WWE, mainly because he was very good friends with Pat Patterson. During Garvin's time in the company, he was known for using his influence to have sex with younger ring boys. Things would blow up shortly after Tom Cole, a ring boy, would lose his job after refusing Garvin's advances. Orton would be asked on a radio show if the rumors were true about Cole's firing. He said yes, and then told the story of his car ride. This interview would make the story covered countrywide. Vince had to defend himself on CNN, which Vince has do a lot of these days, and with many other members of the media. A lawsuit would be filed by Orton, Cole, and announcer Murray Hodgson. Things would be settled a little later on, but Orton was let go because Vince felt he was the cause of the problem. Garvin and Patterson resigned after the scandal broke, but Patterson would make his way back a short time later, mainly because the company felt he was innocent victim in all of this. They felt he was targeted because he was openly gay at the time. It didn't change. It was still a big deal to be gay as an open figure. Orton later said in an interview with Slam that he never saw Patterson do anything. So, that was the story that he had, because there's many other stories that he talks about with Von Erickson, Luthez, and all that stuff like that. But so that's what I've been reading, Prime. Like, so you heard just like I heard it.
Yeah.
So once again, we can only go by, our preconceived notions of what necessarily has been going on, but that's some deep shit.
Pretty much.
And like it do sound like the Velveteen Dream kind of thing, of what's going on now, and how Velveteen Dream has, kind of like he kind of like went off the radar, and then all of a sudden came back. But it's like today, the internet don't forget.
Mm-hmm.
The internet don't forget. So if this is true of what Pat Patterson did, then that's a trash human being. You know what I'm saying? You don't sexually harass people, but if he's innocent, like, I don't necessarily know to make that.
We don't know, but I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think everybody in wrestling is trash.
I mean, to be real with you, everybody in wrestling is probably trash. And first of all, every human being on this earth got some dirt. I mean, some dirt is worse than others. Let's be real. But especially everybody in the older wrestling generation, yeah, they got some shit with them, and since the internet is a thing and things can't open back up, I'm like, don't be surprised if you hear about this on Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised that if they cover this Pat Patterson thing, because the same thing happened with Fabulous Moolah. Remember, she passed away, and they was just like, oh, we about to get out of here, and they went and found all these women and told the truth, and the next thing you know, they tried to do remember the whole Fabulous Moolah Invitational or the Fabulous Moolah Classic,
the Battle Royal.
Yeah, the Battle Royal. They said nope. They said nope. We ain't doing that. Like WWE was just like, man, ain't nothing. But then when Snickers said no, we canceled our sponsorship, they said, okay, we sorry. So,
but they knew, like, Pat Patterson is on this, like, allegedly, like, Boom Loss was, like, confirmed, and they knew it before even signing her, like, the second time she was with Mae Young.
Fair. I mean,
like, they knew.
You're right.
Just like they knew this man killed somebody and bring him back every single time, not naming no names, but Jimmy.
Yeah. Oh my God, that thing still pisses me off. So yeah, like, so yeah, I can say if it's alleged. If it's not alleged, you know what I'm saying, if there's more facts, then I have to read it, because I can get in trouble for speaking out of context. I can get in trouble for jumping to conclusions. I can get in trouble for not jumping to conclusions. So you wrong either way. We talk about Pat Patterson, but I do know this man is gone right now, so things are going to come out if this thing was alleged or not. But yeah, when it came to the Jimmy Snuka thing or the Moolah thing, like, you had them people coming up, and I'm not saying these people don't exist. These ring boys that spoke out already, or the guy Cole who talked about the car ride, but the guy Cole according to this saying that Patterson didn't do anything. It was all the Garvin guy, but but once again, who knows? But Pat Patterson dead, 79 years old. WWE took a big hit on that one, and they expressed their gratitude, stuff like that. And like I said, I don't even know if people treated him like a human anyway, because people say being gay back then was hard. I mean, being gay today is hard. It's like being black is hard. Being a woman is hard. It's like it's always hard. So, but yeah, recipes of Pat Patterson, and then you know what I'm saying we are going to move on from there.